Yeah, that's what I've been talking about right here. No doubt.
Future Solutions, fencing outdoors. Clip of the day, man. I'm Dave Gatto. I'm your host. From the East Coast, man. Burn you with the toast. Let's go. Hey, everybody, and welcome back. This is episode number 13 of the Future Solutions Fencing Outdoor Clip of the Day podcast. My name's Dave Gatto, and I'm your host. Hey, guys, important episode. What I want to talk about here, you might want to listen to this one all the way through. I want to talk about what do we do when a team member gets injured, either at our physical location or on a job site or while they're on the clock in any capacity. What do we do? What's the procedure? What stuff should we have in place to protect them and also to protect us? So I'm just going to start off, guys, by a little story. 2007, I was working at a waste management. Not going to disclose which one. Doesn't really matter. So I'm employed there under the capacity of operating heavy equipment. So that day, guys, that this happened, this particular incident I'm going to talk about, I was on a Bobcat, and I had to grapple bundles of cardboard with my Bobcat and put it on a conveyor belt that would go up to a compactor and would bale cardboard automatically. So anyways, the conveyor belt goes down as it normally did throughout the day. There was always jams throughout the day. So I let 3 guys go over to unjam it to fix whatever might be going on with it. Everything's normal. I'm sitting in my Bobcat. Next thing you know, I hear a really loud scream. I look to my left. 2 people are fleeing, and the 3rd guy is kind of just standing there looking confused. So I get out of my Bobcat, go over there, see what's going on, and I notice that the guy's arm is just literally hanging on by a tendon onto his shoulder, and his arm is twirling around like a ribbon. The guy is in shock. So I take him, sit him down, I put what's left of his arm on my leg, and guys, I'm not trying to get graphic, but it was really, really bad. The guy's forearm was in 4 different ribbons, and his hand was barely attached to his wrist. And it was his right arm. The guy was right-handed. This was a really bad injury. So I take my shirt off, tourniquet onto what's left of his shoulder. It was like a stump. So it was really, really hard to hold the tourniquet on. Anyways, I was able to get the job done, keep the guy calm. The ambulance came, took him away. Next thing that happened was OSHA was there, and they were there really, really quick. And what happened when OSHA got there, you could see the boss. He was trying to kind of sit in for the conversations. OSHA wasn't having it, told him to step out of the room, and they interviewed every team member that was there privately. And when I got into the interview room, which was just one of the offices there that they were using, they started asking me questions, like what kind of boots? Are they anti-slip boots? Are they steel toe? What kind of protective gear do they supply us? Do we have an employee handbook? And if so, are my job duties listed in it? Was there ever any proper lockout and tagout procedures for the piece of equipment? Does the emergency stop button work? Are we ever working too far away from the emergency stop button where we wouldn't be able to reach around and push it? Because what had happened here, guys, a conveyor belt got the guy's glove and ripped his arm off. I didn't think a conveyor belt could do that, but it didn't. So OSHA did a super thorough investigation, and they did that for a lot of reasons. And so I learned a lot that day. I learned a lot about safety procedures and why it's so important, not just to protect us, but really to protect people, because somebody's life is very, very important, and especially this guy lost his right arm. He was right-handed. The guy was a laborer. Really bad for him, And just to sort of recap you guys on what happened there, the guy's arm was never able to be reattached to his body because it was so mangled. His body had recognized it as foreign and sent things down to destroy it. I guess how that stuff works. I'm not a doctor, but that's what I heard. I stayed in touch with the guy for a little bit, and he thanked me for being honest with OSHA where other team members were lying for whatever reasons. I don't understand that. But anyways, guys, that's not the only one. I've seen people lose fingers. I've worked at sawmills. I've seen some pretty nasty accidents at sawmills. I've seen somebody get run over with a forklift at a water plant, and the forklift, we were unable to get it off of him because of overhead conveyor belts for a palletizer. So I've seen some pretty nasty stuff at work. And here's the point, guys. If you're an employer and you have people working for you, it's not a matter of if this is going to happen, but when is something like this going to happen or somebody's going to get hurt. Okay, so we want to be properly prepared for this. And the first thing that I do is I have a procedure in place. If somebody gets hurt, we go into the procedure. First, we assess the situation. Does this need 911? Is this a hospital emergency? Is this an emergency where somebody needs to be driven to a hospital? Maybe it's not that bad where an ambulance has to come, or there's CPR, or there's a really bad laceration or arterial bleeding or anything. So assess the situation, find out what's going on. Just going to give you guys a little example. This just happened at my warehouse not that long ago. Somebody went outside to bring some stuff to the dumpster, and they slipped and fell and hurt their back out there on some ice. Now, fortunately, their back wasn't hurt that bad. They kind of walked it off and went back to work. All right, so I said, whoa, 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 whoa. They need to come into the office here, right? Because we need to file a report about what happened. So I got pages I have them printed out. They're in a PDF, and it's an incident report. It's an injury report. It's an accident report. So, and in the report, it asks you the exact time that the injury happened, who was a witness to the injury, what exactly took place, what were the circumstances leading up to this, did they require medical attention, are they refusing medical attention, and have them sign it and go over it. Now, if somebody's claiming to be injured and they want to go to the hospital, we let them go to the hospital. We send people to Concentra. So Concentra is a place where they do drug testing. They do lab testing, and they stick test the urine right there. Concentra is also a place that handles it all. Somebody hurts their back, they have rehabilitative programs to help them get back to work as soon as possible. And also, we can send people to Concentra before we even hire them for a urine test and also for a physical. Like maybe you work for, or you own a tire company. People will be lifting tires up there all day and palletizing them. Concentra would have a tire that would be equal to the heaviest tire that you would have in your company and make them lift it to pass a physical and also pass a drug examination and all that, which is maybe one of your requirements. That's a whole other thing we could get into another episode with all the legal marijuana and all that stuff going on out there. But we fill out this incident report. If they got to go to the hospital, we send them to Concentra, because let me tell you something. If this goes to court, that makes a really big difference. I mean, was the person high? Did they have drugs in their system? Were they under the influence of alcohol? Something might happen where another team member hits another team member with a forklift and injures somebody else, and then both people have to go for a drug test, because we want to know if somebody was high or under the influence of any mind-altering substance when they had struck or hurt that person. So really important stuff there, guys. Have a system in place and be ready for this. And also, and this has happened to me too, I'm speaking from experience here, I have had team members say they were injured and they weren't, and filed a report and called workers' compensation, and I ended up in several court proceedings trying to prove that they didn't actually incur a back injury. I'm not going to say who it was, but it did happen, and I will tell you what happened when I got the phone call, when the individual told me, he had hurt his back earlier in the day, this was at night, and that, he felt like maybe he had just tweaked it. And then the next day, he was in excruciating pain, and he was at one of those Med Express places, which is really not real doctors in them anyways. It's like a bunch of temps in there with gowns on acting like they're doctors. But that's a whole nother thing. So anyways, my first feeling was anger, towards this guy. Like, here we go. He's trying to get me. And as leaders and business owners, we cannot operate out of anger. My first thought was to fire the guy. How dare him do this? But that would have looked really bad, guys, firing somebody because their back was injured. That would have definitely opened me up for a lawsuit. So be prepared not only with your documenting system for being able to document injuries, and be prepared with first aid kits there if you have to administer treatment there, or keep numbers for local hospitals or 911. Also, guys, it's really important that you have a safety meeting. Once a month is fine, typically. Keep track of injuries and incentivize team members against going X amount of days, maybe a bonus or a pizza party if they go X amount of days without an injury. It'll also make your insurances go down when you're getting workers' compensation insurance, and also when your liability insurance for whatever capacity you're operating in, maybe you're handyman, maybe you're, into manufacturing or something like that. If they see that you have safety meetings in place, that's one thing where a carrier would reduce your insurance. So safety meetings, having a procedure, guys, to document this stuff, having places to send them. And also, a really important thing, guys, is to have employee handbooks. If somebody needs an employee handbook, let me know. I will send you one that was written by an attorney, that's legal in the state of Pennsylvania, that I can send it to you in a Word document so you can sort of edit it, put your information in there. Really important to have, guys. We issue new ones every single year at the beginning of the year in January, and we put them into a DocuSign document, send them over electronically. This way the whole entire document gets signed, and we provide them with a physical copy that they're required to read and sign. So what's important too about that, and there's a lot of things, we will do an episode on employee handbooks. I call them team member handbooks. But what's important is job descriptions in there, because when an injury does happen, workers' comp all of a sudden wants to see your employee handbook, and they want to know what that particular individual's role was, what their job duties were, and have them listed in there. Because if the guy's a forklift operator and he gets injured on the CNC machine and that wasn't in his job duties, well, guess what? Now workers' comp has a foot in there to take some action to barter with, to barter against the amount of money that they're going to compensate them or you. So, it's very important to have the job duties listed in the employee handbook, along with a lot of other things, guys. So getting job duties listed, having a system in place where you could document it, having the proper places where you could send somebody if they get injured. All these things are super important, guys. And, just keep little things at your facility. Like, I have a manufacturing facility. I have a warehouse. So I have a lot of safety things there. PPE, we call it, gloves. We have a dress code there with boots, anti-slip, steel toe.
That's what I've been talking about right
Machinery
here.
operating there. Safety glasses. We have earplugs.
No
for
doubt.
High decibel areas.
Future Solutions, fencing outdoors. Clips for the day, man. Clips for the day, man. I'm Dave Gotti. I'm your host from the East Coast, man. Burn your toes. Let's go.
Share it and subscribe, guys. See you.